What's up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to your home for all things combat sports.
Yo.
So, Dricus du Plessis, what can you say? Neither one of us picked him to win the fight. Pleasantly surprised with his performance. He's a little bit unorthodox, but boy, does he ever have some power.
For sure, and it's a name we're going to have to get used to saying, even if it is a little bit of a tongue twister. I thought going into this fight that he was going to be wildly mismatched, and Robert Whitaker beats everybody that's not Izzy Adesanya, and I thought this was going to be some more of the same. Man, Dricus came out there and, in my opinion, lost the first round, but showed a lot of power and showed that Robert Whitaker was starting to respect it because he felt it a couple of times. And then, as he's losing minutes in that first round, he ends the round emphatically. He did a great job at the very end to close out the round, end up on top, and probably leaves the judges a little bit confused as to who they should score it for. He bloodied up Whitaker's the side of his head with some elbows, and his ground and pound looked pretty vicious. But going into the second round, I was like, okay, as long as Robert's able to do what he just did again, I think the gas tank is going to start to get a little bit exposed out of Dricus, and we're going to start to see Robert run away with it because he's known to have great cardio and great speed. But, if you can't get out of the round, then I guess the other guy's going to win.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Dricus looks gigantic for 185. Now, I know Robert Whitaker spent a fair amount of his career at 170, and traditionally he's a little bit smaller for 185, and what he lacked in size, he certainly has made up for in technical skill over the years. But they looked like two guys from two different weight classes. It looked like a big 170 fighting a small 205er in there last night. And even when Izzy got in there in the cage with him after the fight, Izzy's a little bit taller, but Dricus is a thick boy, man. He's going to pack a lot of power when he gets in there with Adesanya. Now, the Adesanya fight is a very different fight than the Robert Whitaker. Robert Whitaker had to get inside because of the height differential and the reach differential. Izzy will have the luxury of being able to stay on the outside and kind of pick his shots. And if we do know one thing about the last Stylebender, that's where he really excels. Now, this is a fight for who the real African champion is. I think they can probably turn it around quickly and do it in Australia, which I know they're looking for Izzy to headline that card. Dricus didn't seem to take a whole lot of damage. And even though the fight's going to take place in Australia, I think the rivalry between these two, and Dricus saying I stayed in Africa, you left and went on to New Zealand, and the back and forth there's going to be some fun. It seems like Izzy has the dance partner that he needs to really sell the fight, because Dricus is willing to play ball. He's good on the mic, he speaks well. I'm looking really forward to that match.
Yeah, me too. And I think Izzy's got a good fight on his hands. Skill-wise, they're nowhere even close. Du Plessis looks a little bit awkward, and I think the awkwardness might actually be serving him right now. But when you fight somebody like Izzy, who's going to have a speed advantage, a range advantage, is a little bit taller. I know that Izzy was wearing shoes last night. That's why he looked several inches taller, but they're probably within 1 to 2 inches from each other's height. So we're going to see Izzy a little bit closer in size to him, and Izzy's going to be able to use the range, unlike Robert Whitaker. Robert has to use, burst in and burst out type of techniques to hit these bigger guys, and he did a good job doing it last night. But Du Plessis is a heavy-handed fighter, and he knows he can kind of, bear down and then throw some power hooks or uppercuts or short shots in the mix and hurt people. And that's something that Robert Whitaker had to do to get his hand raised in this fight, but Izzy's not going to have to do that. Izzy can dance around the outside all night long, 5 rounds, rinse and repeat. And, Izzy's really good at finishing people. He's finished plenty of people, but he's also taken a ton of people to decision and just sort of dismantled them throughout 25 minutes. And that's sort of what I'm seeing out of this one. Du Plessis apparently is pretty durable, and I don't really see Izzy just going in there and starching him unless he can wear him down in the first few rounds early and then kind of leave Du Plessis wide open for some shots, and then just an accumulation of these shots is going to take him out. But Izzy is way better at striking. Izzy's going to be way more sharp, and I believe if they can make this thing happen in Australia, you've got a mega fight on your hands.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And DDP, I see him, the best chance that he has in this fight is a puncher's chance. It's the classic puncher's chance. It's a big, strong guy that hits people on the button sometimes and it puts them to sleep. And if he can do that, he can win. We did see Alex Pereira do that to Israel Adesanya. Even Alex, as hard as he hits, and we saw what he did to Sean Strickland, and Sean is a super durable fighter, put Sean out. he still didn't put Izzy on the canvas. That shows you, I think Adesanya has a very underrated chin. I don't think people talk a lot about the chin of Israel Adesanya, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that he doesn't cut a whole hell of a lot of weight like certain people like Paulo Costa and Dricus du Plessis do. So, I think Dricus is going to have a very hard time sparking Izzy with one shot, because if Alex can't even sit him down with his power and that front hook, I'm not sure that Dricus can. So I'm very excited for the fight, super excited for the build-up, but styles make matchups, and I see Adesanya winning this one pretty decisively here.
Yeah, the last style bender's got a big leg up on du Plessis as far as the skills go. But to add on to your point about Izzy having a great chin, oftentimes when we refer to people of having great chins, we're talking about people who get hit all the time.
Yeah.
Izzy isn't considered a guy with a great chin because he never gets hit.
Right.
And so when you never see it get tested, you can't really say that it is great or it isn't great or anything like that. So people just kind of forget about it. But Izzy does have a great chin. We saw it tested against Pereira, and I think we'll see it get tested against du Plessis, but not near as often as du Plessis needs to get his hand raised against Izzy.
Definitely.